Yeah, you can sit comfortably.
And it's recording. Yeah. And it's recording. I will hide this. So I should look at you or the camera? No, you.
Wherever you want.
Yes.
Very
Just
unscripted.
unfiltered.
Yeah.
Okay.
You do whatever you want. That's what we do. We try to analyze the micro habits that make you successful.
Yes.
You just observe that. So no worries. So hey guys, I'm Naitik
And I'm Shivansh.
and we are No Doubt. And today we have
Sébastien.
Yes.
Seba.
Sébastien. So he's the developer advocate at AWS. And
correct.
we'll give a short intro later. So you can see what I'm right now. So yes, let's start.
Let's start.
just
Thank you for having me first. I'm really happy to be there with you today.
just thank you
and,
for
and
you.
with you.
Yeah. So how was your journey at the start into just computers and
I started a very long time ago. I'm old enough to be your dad, probably. So I started when I was like 12 or 13 years old. I went to a neighbor's place, and that guy just received a Commodore 64. It was like a small computer. It was a keyboard actually that you with the computer inside, and I didn't plan for that, but I have a Commodore 64 T-shirt today. But I swear it was not planned for that. And you had to connect that to a TV, and then you can program in BASIC. When you open it, you have just a basic programming language BASIC with line numbers 10, print hello, 20, go to 10, and then you have a loop that prints everything. And we spent the night looking at a small book that was provided with it, and to understand the basic of a loop, of a if condition, of a variable, and things like that. And I found that so. And I can tell that machine what to do.
Yeah.
I have a superpower, and this is this is where I say, okay, I want maybe not work because I was like I said 12. That's probably not true. 13 or 14 years old, but I know that I want to spend time with this type of machine and learn about programming. And I was fortunate enough to have one a bit later at home, and I start spending my evening coding in BASIC at the time. That was the only programming language.
which language did you started with?
Basic on Commodore 64. Professionally, I start Pascal, if you remember Pascal, Visual Basic at the time. I'm sorry. Yeah, I will tell you a secret. When I start working professionally for a company after graduation, Java did not exist. Okay, so only a few months after came the .0 beta version of the first Java, and we were wondering what is this thing Java. So it was last century.
So like this whole industry, it's like revolving and evolving
All
very
the time.
fast. Yeah. So how do you keep up with that? Like every second day there's a new language, there's a new technology.
A couple of things. First, I think that the fundamentals are not changing. If you look at the fundamentals from a computer like 60 years ago, everything was there. It has a different name, it's faster, shinier, blah, 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 blah. But the concepts are the same. The networking is not changing, the security, the algorithms. Good programming book are from the 60s, and they are still valid. An algorithm is an algorithm. There is no 15 different way to sort an array of numbers. So my advice for everybody is learn the basics, learn the foundation, because the foundation will not change. And once you learn the foundation, it's quite easy to pick up on a new thing, because you can say, oh, yeah, it's like this or it's like that. I'll give you an example. Today in GenAI, everybody is talking about MCP, Model Context Protocol, MCP client, MCP server. It's just a way to call code on another process. 40 years ago on Unix, it's called RPC, Remote Procedure Call, and then it was Corba, then EGB, Enterprise Java Beans, and then they call that REST Web Services, or DCOM on Microsoft. But it's always the same concept. It's being able to encapsulate a piece of code, technical or business function, deploy that somewhere, and call it securely, more or less securely, from distance. So the concepts are always the same. The name changed, the protocol changed. Now it's JSON, HTTP, it's easier. So learn the foundation first. Second, be curious. Yeah. And maybe I have a third one as well, is do not over-specialize. If you become the super specialist in one technology and that technology becomes irrelevant tomorrow, then what are you going to do? I have a very good example as well. Like 3 years ago, everybody was talking about Bitcoin, and you have to be expert in blockchain and NFC and non-volatile. I don't remember what. And what are these experts doing now? I don't know. So it's important to have a level of specialty in a technology so that you are good enough for what you do. But if you over-specialized, you might be trapped in a technology that will disappear. And I had the chance, I over-specialized myself a bit in Java, but Java is still relevant today. I'm not doing Java anymore, but I can live from Java today. So the risk was low, and I over-specialized a bit in the cloud, but I don't think cloud will disappear. I will be retired before cloud change to something else. So that's the two big specialization I did in my career, but I never jumped too fast on Bitcoin or even Gen AI. I was very skeptical at the beginning. It took me a while to start to look. No, I think it's important enough to learn more, to dive a bit deeper into that. But being an expert is what? It's having 2 or 3 months advance on the rest of people. So.
Okay, so what was your motivation? Like, no doubt, I have to do this thing. So any just incident happened with you or something like that?
Cloud and Java. I'm back to that. First, when I saw Java, I discovered object-oriented programming, which was not new, but not very pervasive in enterprise at the time, because at the time, enterprise were COBOL, maybe RPG 400 or something like that, and in the Unix world, it was mostly C. Python did not exist. So when Java came, it was really a revolution. Hey, I can have one programming language that runs on my PC, on a mainframe, on a huge Unix server that costs millions of dollars. And it has a nice programming model, object-oriented programming. You can encapsulate things. It's elegant. If you spend time writing your Java code, it's quite elegant. So that was one of the things that when I saw Java at the beginning, I said, I want to do Java. And I work for companies that jump into that bandwagon as well. It was consulting company at the time, and they were triggered by their customer. Their customers say, hey, we want to know if we can leverage Java for this or that. And the second was cloud. The first time I saw it was EC2 on AWS, I said, wow, I can get all the compute power of the world just like that. I type a comment and I have a machine. That's fantastic. Oh, okay, there is one limit, it's my credit card. But that's the only limit if you think about that. It's virtually infinite. Of course, we know it's not infinite, there are data centers, but the capacity is way more than what I can use myself. And before that, I was struggling with virtual machines to install on my laptop. We were using VirtualBox or VMware workstation at the time. I was working for a big American company that sold software that are quite heavy, difficult to install. And if I want to create a demo environment for my customer, I don't have any server. I have to install that on my laptop. So it was a huge virtual machine. So when our boss told us, hey, we can use EC2, you can expense that. For me, it was like being a kid in a candy store, saying, wow, I have all that power, all these machines with memory. There was only 4 or 5 type of instance at the time, but still, that was really the light bulb moment. So cloud.
Okay. So like the way Gen AI is going, what do you believe is the future of that?
I need to put a wizard hat and a magic wand. Yes. The future.
What is the future?
It depends for who. I think. Okay, my way of thinking about Gen AI really changed over the last 2 years and a half, when it was ChatGPT that was first introduced, like November 23, I think. We are in 25, yes, I think 23 or 22, November 22. It will be 3 years this year in November. And at the beginning, I play a bit like everybody with ChatGPT, asking the difference between chicken eggs and cat eggs, and he was saying that cat eggs are excellent. So it was the level of a drunk assistant and not really useful. But of course, technology changed a lot, and now I'm playing a lot with generative AI, especially as a coding assistant, but we can talk maybe about that later. I think Gen AI will it's one of the big transformations. There are not so many big transformations in IT. I told you before, nothing changed. That's not true. There were a few big transformations. Internet was a big transformation. The way that we can access information, access resource and web services, API everywhere. And I think Gen AI is as big, maybe bigger than the internet. It will change the way we work. I'm not saying, and I can explain that we are disappear as developer, DevOps engineers, sysops engineers. We still need these competencies, but the way we work will change. And not only IT people, non-IT people as well. Everybody which is transforming information will have, I'm very careful about what I'm saying, but if you do a job where you are creative, where you are creating information, so not only music, art and things, but creating content for a conference, you're creating a podcast now, so you're creating content. Today, the Gen AI models are not able to do that. I don't know in 5 years, 9 years, but today that's our capability as human, our privilege as human. We create information. But transforming information, Gen AI models are super good at that. And unfortunately, there is a lot of work, professions that are about transforming. Think about accountant, people that take numbers, make balance sheets and things like that. Think about journalists, certain category of journalists, not the reporter that go to war and they are creating content, but a press agency type of journalists. They take news, they transform onto another format, and there are probably tons of other office work where you take information from one source, you transform, enrich it, and these jobs, maybe they are not at risk, but they will profoundly transform with that. So we have to adapt to that. As developer, we are creating information. We are creating. There is an artistic part of writing code, I think, and there is certainly an imaginative part about writing code. I don't think AI will replace us. To the opposite, I think there will be more developers, but I can explain why I think that as well. But it will change the way we work. And I fall in love with Amazon Q developers CLI like 2 months ago. And now I think I cannot work without it. It's so easy to ask, hey, can you write that README for me? Can you write that unit test? Can you tell me why this is not compiling? And it finds solutions. So I'm much more productive. I had a long list of apps that I want to write or scripts to automate my daily tasks that I wanted. I had the idea, I have that list in my mind, but I never took the time to write that code. And now, yes, I have like half a dozen scripts that I'm using every week that I wrote. He wrote it for me. So it helps me to be much more productive. That's one thing. The other thing is that it will lower the barrier for entry. Yes. So more people will be able to write small applications. I'm not talking about complex mission-critical application, distributed systems and things like that. Not with the technology today, at least. But more people will be. You know, all these. In the office, there are tons of small tasks that are manual, that can be automated, that can be better. And anyone with a bit of sense of technology will now be able to write that small script they need to facilitate their day, to make them more productive. And that's a good thing if it's more people having access to technology being more inclusive. So that's really good. And sorry, I have a very long answer. I'm not letting you answer. I'm not letting you. And the reason why I think it will create more developer jobs is that it's the opportunity effect. I mean, if we as a developer become more productive, the price to create an application will drop because we are more productive. I was talking with the solution architect manager, so the manager of all the solution architects from AWS in India 2 days ago, and he told me that they are doing pilot program within companies where they ask the CIO of a company, what is the low priority app that you have in your backlogs in several years, but you never had time and budget to do, something that would take like between 3 to 6 months to develop. And all the CIO can answer that. They have a list of apps. Yeah, if we have time, we would do that, but it's not high priority. And they take that app and the requirements, and most of the time with Gen AI, they manage, the SA team from India, but other countries manage to create this app in 2 or 3 days. 6 months? 3 days. So it opens the door to more application. All these applications that people have in their backlog, like my scripts, for example, now it becomes possible. So I think it will bring more demand for application, and more demand will increase the number of developers, because as of today, with the technology today, we cannot run GenAI uncontrolled. We need to be, so they propose code, but we are the one that say, yeah, this is good, no, this is better, no,
so
this is how.
Basically, this increases and that will increase.
Exactly, and there is an economist, a British economist, in the 19th century, so 1800 something, that modelized that. The guy is called Jevons. It's called the paradox of Jevons, because what he observed at the time was the first steam machine, and with the first steam machine, there were people saying, oh, the demand for coal will reduce because these machines are so efficient, we need less coal is the correct word, coal? I have a doubt about English, the black thing.
Yeah,
okay,
yes.
coal. Sorry, English is not my native language, so I have to. And many people say, yeah, the demand for coal will reduce because these machines are so efficient that we are not going to use coal anymore, or much less. And what happened is the opposite. The demand augmented because these machines were so efficient that more people bought these machines to do more things, new things that we were not doing with these machines before. And so the demand for coal exploded, and it's called the Jevons paradox. And I think we can see the same in the future. I'm very careful here for developers. It will create like a bubble of fresh air to bring more skills and more people to coding. Sorry, that was the longest answer you ever had in the podcast.
So according to your perspective, how much part of GenAI has been discovered and there is much more to go or something like that?
I think we are at the beginning. It's the transformer technology, which is the technology at the heart of large language model, came from 2017. We are in 2025, so it's only 8 years ago. Look at all the change from ChatGPT as a drunk assistant 2.5 years ago to something like Amazon Q Developer CLI that is able to generate an entire mobile Swift UI application for me in 1 hour. And that's 2 years. So imagine in the next 2 years, remember from in the 70s or 80s, no, you don't remember, but there was that, I forgot the name, a guy from Intel that says, Moore, the law from Moore that says the power of a CPU will double, the number of transistors in a CPU will double every year or something like that, and the power will double as well.
I think it's about the size actually, the size
of the chips and the number of transistors we can put on the chips
will be reduced by the portion, like the square of 2 every X years. It was like
sorry, I don't remember the exact law, but search that on Wiki, you will find that easily, or ask ChatGPT, he will tell you. I think we are going to see the same with GenAI, something that is exponential. The more we learn about it, the more companies see how we can use it, the more people learn to use it as well. It's not only to have a good model, but the first time you play with a model, you ask very basic things, very vague questions, and you get vague answers. But now you and me and some more tech people, we know exactly how to prompt a system, and we start to get really, really good result from that.
So let's suppose you are in a future. So what do you think now GenAI can do at that time? Like simulate. It's like a wrong, but like after 4 to 5 years, how will this whole scenario look?
I hope that one day I can ask my Alexa, and maybe it's the case already in the US today, but I never play. I can ask Alexa, hey, I want to go to see that movie, buy me 2 tickets, and by the way, if the weather will be bad, also book a taxi enough time in advance so that I can be on time at the movie theater. Do something more complex order, and the ability to not just provide information but also act on the world. Book a restaurant, book a taxi. I'm not taking a lot of risk with this answer because it's coming. Alexa Plus it's already there in the US, but it's the very beginning. The other day I saw the Nova SDK from Amazon. It's an agent, an SDK that allows to act on your compute environment. So you can tell something to the model. The model will say, oh, you have a tool to do that, and the tool is actually going to open a browser, go to Google Map, type an address in the field, extract the 10 results, combine that with the weather forecast, for example, and mix all that. That's quite amazing. And we are at the very beginning of this type of technology.
Actually, there is a company named Manus, like a Chinese-based company. It recently launched Manus AI. So they launched their assistant, and it can do everything you just said. It can very fast. Yeah.
And doing it the way we describe it right now, by acting on your laptop, by controlling your mouse and your keyboard, basically what it's a very primitive way to do it. It will be better integrated with more API and
Complexity would be increased.
yes.
It's like people are using this kind, like for example, let's take Manus AI. People can run social media farms from it, like entire content views. They can just automate the whole thing.
That's the bad side of it.
Yeah. So, what do you think will happen to this kind of stuff?
Gen AI is a tool, just like a knife or a gun, and you can do good things even with a gun. If you are a hunter and you need to eat, there are some good aspects of that. I'm not a big fan of gun, but okay, I can understand it can be positive sometimes. So you can do like with all the tools. The first time the prehistoric men discover a stone, they can squash your head, or they can hunt, or they can go on top of it to go to see more beyond. So it's our intelligence that decide what we do with the tool. And yes, the bad side of Gen AI is that I fear that if the big social networks are not reacting today, we will be invaded by generative AI generated content. It's already the case if you read LinkedIn but so far I can spot that. Okay, he didn't write that, and so why would I read something if the author did not spend time to write it? I'm not going to give my time to read. So that's the bad thing, and they have to react now. Otherwise, it will be more and more difficult for us to find good information, original information.
So, do you think then like after 2-3 years or maybe 5-6 years, the original information or the original piece of content will be more prioritized? Like today we buy handmade stuff, like it's specially made by hands and everything like that.
I hope so, and that we can detect that, because even picture now it's difficult to detect if it is a fake or not, unless it's a caricature of I don't know. But a well done generated image today, it's very difficult to distinguish, including for experts. So there is all the bad things and the risk that countries or bad actors are trying to influence the politics of another country. We are seeing that already today. That's I don't have an answer for that.
If someone creates a system which can detect this content, and like a social media which can analyze this stuff, that this is AI generated.
Tell me the address of that social media. I subscribe today. No, but what I mean, the power of Twitter that doesn't exist anymore. Twitter at the time, or even LinkedIn a few years ago, was really sharing knowledge between people that have the same interest as you. The bad side, when you only share knowledge with people that have the same interest as you are locked in a bubble and you only see. So right now they have a tendency to lock us in a bubble where we agree with the content. It's difficult to learn something new. But if we can go back to the origin of what Twitter was, I think it would be a bit better. Today there is Blue Sky and Mastodon, which are, I'm not saying they are immune, they are certainly not immune to that, but they are more recent, so they are less affected by that than LinkedIn or X.
So, do you think that if I developed an application, and that same application is developed by AI, or we can say just a person just did vibe coding and just made the same application, so my application would be more worth, or just like that?
I think you will be able to maintain your application over the long term, and the vibe coded one generated automatically will be harder to maintain, especially if you don't look at the details of the code or you don't understand the complexity of the code. I talk about Amazon Q developer CLI. Sometimes he has a tendency to add feature that I didn't ask. I said, I don't want that. That's nice, but no, sorry. I think for critical piece of code, something which is business critical that you need to deploy into production, today you cannot trust the code from generative AI. So there is where developers have all their place. if it is critical for your business, be sure there are humans that understand and can change the code there.
As a 20-year-old, if I have just started this thing and I want to get into tech, I want to build something of my own, and like I don't fear failure. Failure is good. I just want to try new things. What are some ideas that I should go for?
The new technology to try.
Not to try, I want to make something. Like we discussed this. If someone makes a platform where you can detect the content,
That's a good idea. Detect fake content. And I'm really bad at finding new ideas for a startup. I don't have that entrepreneurship fiber inside me, so I'm not that type of person. So I'm not sure I will be able to give good advice. I can give career advice, but product or service advice, no. But you are looking with a good idea. It's your idea actually. Detect fake content. That's certainly something that that will be helpful in the future.
Yeah. Great.
Just last question. So, just a personal question. So, how is your day at AWS?
One of the things I like at AWS is that there are not 2 days that are the same. One day I'm here with you in India. I travel a lot in the last 10 years in 45 different countries, Europe, Africa, Middle East, Latin America. Day to day, usually my mornings are a bit quieter because we work a lot with the people in Seattle. So in my morning in Europe, Seattle is still sleeping. So I start my day by looking at what Seattle produced during my night when I was sleeping. So reading emails, Slack message, acting on that. I usually record my own podcast in the morning as well when I have guests that are roughly in the same time zones as me. I'm a morning person, so I'm more productive in the morning. If I have something difficult to do, like writing a new blog post, learning something, experimenting, I'm more from the morning. And in the afternoon, mostly writing. At Amazon, we write a lot. If I have a new idea that I want to communicate, my boss will, put your idea in a doc, like 3-page, 6-page, and so we can read and understand. And to write a doc, it's complicated.
That's a great ritual.
You have to collect the data. The logic behind that is that if you present your idea in a presentation with bullet points and short phrases, you don't go deep into the thinking. When you write 3 pages about that, you have to articulate your thought and why you are doing that, how you are going to measure success, what are the data that you collect to make you think it's a good idea, what might be another way to do. You have to think about all that, and then we discuss that with your manager. So we are writing a lot of jobs, internal or external. And starting from 4 p.m., it's mostly my time for meetings with the US until I try to stop at 7 maximum, but if I let my agenda pile up, there are people from the US that can book meetings at 9 or 10 and say, no, sorry, during my day. That's a day where I'm working from the office. Of course, there are travels days. Yes, but it's a mix of creating content, either for conference, for podcast, for blog, a mix of internal meetings, internal tasks as well.
So what are some habits or rituals at AWS that make it such a huge company and make you such a productive and
turn off Slack and turn off Outlook. I mean, in the habits to be more productive.
Both habits and rituals at AWS.
My habits, when I want to be productive, I turn off Slack and turn off Outlook, so no interruption. What kills my productivity is context switching. I cannot write a blog post if I have a small window of 30 minutes to do that, and then a meeting, and then another 30 minutes, and then another meeting. For a blog post or to write code, it's the same. I need a block of 3 or 4 hours of my time where I can be immersed and focus on that. So, and turning off any source of distraction, phone, Slack, Outlook, it's a really good habit. And the other part of the question was about Amazon.
Yeah, what rituals does Amazon follow? Like the one you did that.
Yeah, the document.
On paper.
Yeah, I think a document it's a very peculiar way that Amazon has to share information and share knowledge with you. Let's take a very practical example. I'm here in India because there is a AWS Summit in Bangalore the last 2 days, and I had a small podcast booth where I invite some of the customer speaker to be a guest in my podcast, like I am the guest in your podcast right now. So when I first talk about that to my manager, I said, yeah, we can try that. So I start writing a doc saying, okay, this is the current situation. I want to increase the audience of my English podcast. One of the things I want to try is to give visibility, so to go to Summit and record episodes. So it's a win-win because we have thousands of people that will walk in front of the podcast booth. They will say, oh, there is an AWS developer podcast. Let me subscribe on Spotify today. And it's also a chance for me to grab some content with people that I would probably not have invited to the podcast otherwise. The local speaker, so I did that in London. We are going to do that in New York and Bangalore. I picked the 3 biggest summit in English spoken country. I know that India is not, but it's more English spoken than other. And I wrote a doc that says, okay, the audience is this is what I want to do, this is the budget we need, this is the cities, and blah, 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 blah. And we circulate that doc with my manager, his manager says, okay, I approve the budget. And this is why I'm here with you. So, yeah, the power of writing a narrative to share your idea, express what you want to do. I think there is only Amazon doing that. That's the only company I know that does that. It takes a lot of time. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupt you.
Yes. So, if you need to give an advice to youth, what it would be for in their 20s?
I go back to what I said earlier, but it's super important. Maybe we can to really memorize that. Don't over specialize. Be good generalist. Know a bit of everything. Networking, coding, system administration. Not be a specialist, but know a bit of everything. Have rock solid foundation, because you don't know what is the next technology that is going to come in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years. Remember, when I started my career, Java did not exist. So be super strong on the foundation, and it will help you to learn whatever is coming in 2 years or 5 years. And be curious. Don't block yourself in one technology, because that technology might disappear in 2 years. So be curious and stay open.
So that's a wrap, I guess. Yes.
It's a nice conclusion.
For coming to No Doubt.
And discussing awesome.
I think they are
Thank you.
So we just say no doubt.
No doubt.
No.
No doubt. Yeah. No doubt.